See, I feel like I still want to come back to this. Like, you came to music late. You only went to a show like a handful of years ago. What was this thing that was just like, do music? Do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't know.
what was? Did you wake up at night one day and just go like, I'm doing music? I know you said it was kind of quite natural,
Yeah.
but
But I think you actually just hit the nail on the head. It was this weird, like, subconsciously, like it was like I woke up one day and it was like I'm here. You know, it was just like every single decision that I made was like, okay, I'll just do it. I'll do it. I'll do this. Do, and I'm here.
hmm.
You know? It wasn't like, which is kind of weird, ironically, because I'm such an overthinker. So one might think that I would take so long to make these decisions, like these almost life-changing career decisions, but I feel like in hindsight, if I think about it, it was like this weird, like, like, oh, I'll go with this. Okay. I'm just like, it was a sprint almost. It was like a marathon. Well, sprint or marathon. It was just like a run. And then I look back and it's like, oh, I made these decisions. I made those decisions. And it was like bum, 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 bum. Not like I don't look back kind of thing. And things escalated quite a bit,
you're
of
you're
course,
living the
along
that
the way.
escalated quickly meme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
And
And
and like
yeah.
practically speaking, like, say if you woke up in the middle of the night, you're like, I gotta do music. Like, what was the process you went through in terms of, well, I guess I'll need this or I guess I'll need that. So it's not like you spent 2 years researching what you need to do music. You obviously somehow just
Mhm.
started making it, right? And then sharing it.
Yeah.
Like, can you
Yeah.
can you walk us through, like, literally, like, if we were filming you with a camera and we were doing like the
Mhm.
montage cutscene of, like, I don't know, this starting from like Sue's not doing music to like now, or let's say to like I'll Just Dance coming out. If we're doing like the montage
Yeah.
cutscene, what are the things that you would be doing?
Okay, so I think I would say that it wasn't like I woke up one day and no equipments whatsoever. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do music," and here we go. I think there were maybe like a week or 2 weeks of that period where I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna try this Ableton thing and like production thing as a hobby." And then, so that was before decided that I want to become a musician. I was like, I just like did the little like ding dongs and like here and there, made some really shitty songs that I don't ever want to listen back to. I don't think I even saved
Mhm.
them. It was just like really shitty songs. But then I had a lot of fun, you know, and Jelly Ride was like one of the first songs that I posted was written during that period. It was not necessarily produced during that
Mhm.
period, but I wrote the song during that first few weeks of having bought some of the gears, and they were like, you know, some of the gears I still use, some of the gears I've kind of fallen out with. Um, but
And so that
that was pretty
was that
much,
more of like a, oh,
yeah.
you'd heard Ableton Live as a thing and I'll just have a play with it. Kind of, right.
Yeah, and it was like the only option that I had with my Windows. I wanted to try Pro Tools
Mhm.
initially, but that was only available on MacBooks. So I'm a hardcore PC
Mhm.
user, just putting it out
Do it.
there. Yeah. But yeah, Ableton just seemed like the best option. Didn't think twice about it just because it's like not like as a hobby, I don't care. I'm just gonna go with it. I would have gone with GarageBand if I could, but I don't have GarageBand on Windows. So I just got Ableton and did it. And those few weeks were pretty much the only kind of pre period before making the big
Right.
decision.
And did you? I got to ask, like, did you do the built-in tutorials on Live? Like, it's got those. Oh, really? Or did
No,
you watch YouTube
no,
videos or something?
I couldn't be
Right. Or
bothered.
you just
Yeah,
opened
I
it up
couldn't
and
be bothered.
started clicking buttons?
Yeah, and it's actually quite convenient because it works quite similarly with some of the editing programs that I was
Hmm.
using for graphic
Hmm.
design. So, like Premiere Pro, it kind of works the same, like except that the layers for videos are just
Hmm.
tracks or for
Yeah.
sounds. So it works kind of the
Right.
same.
And so you're saying there's this
But obviously,
period of a few weeks, then you're kind of just effectively like playing around and exploring, and then you specifically said, I think, the big decision. So was there like there's a bit of an on-ramp, and then at some point, when did it turn into a big decision, or did you feel like I need to decide if I'm doing this or not, or was it just like, I like this, I'm gonna do it?
Yeah, so okay, so if I had to really like get into the details of it, I think there were a few days where I was considering like oh, I want to do this. I kind of want to do this. And I was like I took these few days, like maybe 5 days to like really think about it. And that was really all I was thinking about at that point.
You're not
and
saying like, can we take a camera and film what you're doing? Can we now take like a microphone and hear like what were you thinking at the time? What were the thoughts in your head around this?
okay, so I don't remember, but like I remember listening to Joji a lot at that point, and I always say that Joji is like, I'm such a huge fan of Joji because his music was one of the biggest contributors of making of my decision to become a musician. So I think I was listening to Joji a lot, and I was like, oh, I want to make music, and listening to Joji's music makes me realize that I don't have to be perfect. So might as well try it, kind of thing. That was one of the things that I was thinking a lot. And another thing, I'm gonna be a starving artist for sure. That was another big thing, because like, oh, musicians, but like, I don't know anything about Instagram. I don't know anything about social media. I don't know anything about YouTube, posting anything on YouTube. And like, I've always been I always had that boomer energy in me. Like, I don't care about, I never cared about Instagram. I never cared about Twitter. I never really was active on these platforms. So it was like that technical concern of like, oh, how am I gonna like, learn from scratch? So there was that kind of,
and so that was all wrapped
overwhelming.
up when you're like, I want to make music. I want to like make a go of music. I will
Yes.
need to understand how to use these things. You just
Yeah.
kind of instinctively knew
Yeah.
that this was part of the whole package for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think I have seen enough things to know that being able to make music isn't enough for me as an artist, I think, because I wanted to be an artist, like not necessarily a producer or an engineer. I knew that being an artist just entails being on social media and, being out there myself rather than just being behind the scenes and making sounds. So that's specifically what I knew that I had to do just from the get-go. So there was some like, I had to wrap my head around like, if I'm actually going to be able to pull this off. I know I can't, but does that outweigh my drive to actually go for this thing? No. So I'm just going to go with it, kind of thing.
And so, then were you in a way like learning all these platforms at the same time? So you're learning live at the same time as learning YouTube? Or by the time you'd had that 3 week or so kind of playing around where you're like, I know what I need to know in live to like write and record songs?
I was learning as I went, like all these things. I think when I made my Instagram account that I have to this date, and my Twitter account and my YouTube account, I was still learning how to record on Ableton. Right. Like, it was still everything was work in progress, and I just learned as I went. That was the start of the year and a half or however long I've been doing this.
Amazing.